Welcome to Gray Matter Reports. Today we decode the complex reality of events that unfold around us. The night hung heavy, a shroud of darkness draped over the quiet streets. In the depths of this silence, an unsettling pattern emerged. An individual, marked by a chilling intellect, danced through shadows with calculated precision. Each move was deliberate, each decision steeped in a profound understanding of human behavior. This was not a series of impulsive acts. It was a meticulously orchestrated symphony of manipulation. Behavioral economics posits that decisions are rarely driven by pure logic. Instead, they are influenced by emotions, biases, and intricate social cues. The subject in question exemplified this theory, using psychological leverage to navigate their environment. A master of persuasion, they understood the subtleties of human interaction, using them to elicit responses that would benefit their dark ambitions. The thrill of control became an intoxicating elixir, one that drove them deeper into a labyrinth of their own making. When examining the biological evidence, patterns began to solidify. Neurological studies suggest that certain individuals possess heightened levels of empathy and remorse. Conversely, the subject displayed a stark deficiency in these areas. Brain scans revealed regions associated with emotional regulation and moral reasoning functioning below the normative range. This biological anomaly provided a chilling insight into the mind of someone who could exploit the vulnerabilities of others without a flicker of hesitation. As the investigation unfolded, investigators grappled with the chilling allure of the individual. They were not merely a perpetrator of antisocial behavior, they were a complex enigma wrapped in layers of psychological intricacies. The equilibrium between intellect and emotion tilted grotesquely, creating a persona capable of evoking fear and fascination in equal measure. It was as if the subject had turned the world into a chessboard, each person a mere pawn in a game where the stakes were life and case conclusion. The case concluded with a haunting question lingering in the air. What drives an individual to such depths of depravity? The answer lies within the fabric of human nature, interwoven with threads of evolution, social conditioning, and the inexplicable complexity of the human psyche. Each profile reveals a different shade of darkness, a testament to the myriad paths one can traverse. In this realm, the line between predator and prey blurs. The enigmatic subject, with their chilling intellect and emotional void, stands as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities embedded in us all. They are a mirror reflecting our deepest fears, an unsettling embodiment of what it means to confront the abyss. The room was filled with a tension that felt almost palpable. Across the table sat a subject whose charm was as disarming as it was deceptive. In the world of behavioral economics, the con artist embodies the archetype of manipulation, a master of the art of persuasion. Their tools? Words, smiles, and a calculated understanding of human vulnerability. In the clinical examination of such individuals, we find a distinct pattern. They thrive on the cognitive biases that govern human behavior. Anchoring, for instance, occurs when an individual relies too heavily on the first piece of information encountered. A con artist exploits this by establishing a false narrative, setting the stage for their deception. They become the anchor, the fixed point around which the victim's reality revolves. Consider the case of a subject who, with a practiced ease, crafted a story of financial distress. The individual presented themselves as a savior, offering investment opportunities that shimmered with the promise of wealth. Yet beneath this facade lay a meticulously constructed trap. Their charm, rather than being an incidental trait, was a strategic weapon capable of dismantling skepticism. Behavioral economics teaches us that trust is a currency. A con artist's ability to forge this trust is often rooted in their understanding of loss aversion. People are more motivated by the fear of losing what they have than by the possibility of acquiring something new. The subject convinced their targets that not participating in their scheme would result in profound loss. Thus, they position themselves as the gatekeepers of opportunity, a role that left their victims ensnared in a web of false hope. The fallout from such encounters can be devastating. Once the illusion shatters, the individual must confront not only the loss of resources, but also the erosion of self-trust. The psychological impact can echo long after the financial damage has been assessed. In the aftermath, Individuals often grapple with feelings of shame and betrayal, a painful reminder of their susceptibility to manipulation. In the sterile confines of clinical observation, the con artist represents a chilling juxtaposition of charisma and cunning. They are not merely criminals, they are reflections of our deepest fears and desires. Through them, we confront the uncomfortable truth that our own minds can be our most treacherous adversaries. The dance of deception is not merely a crime, it is a profound commentary on the very nature of trust in the human condition. In this realm of shadows and light, where vulnerability meets opportunism, the con artist remains a haunting figure, a reminder of the fragile threads that bind us to one another and the perilous ease with which they can be severed. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the gathering. An aura of unease surrounded the followers, yet their eyes glimmered with anticipation. They were drawn to him, the figure at the center, a master of manipulation. He wielded charisma like a surgeon's scalpel, cutting through their doubts with surgical precision. This was not mere attraction. It was an intricate dance of psychological dominance. Behavioral economics provides a lens through which we can understand this phenomenon. The cult leader, often an antisocial profile, exploits cognitive biases to reinforce loyalty. The principle of scarcity plays a pivotal role. By creating a false sense of urgency, he convinces his followers that enlightenment is available only to the chosen few. Each meeting is a carefully orchestrated performance, designed to elicit emotional highs that drown out rational thought. The leader's rhetoric is steeped in ambiguity, a deliberate choice that creates a fertile ground for interpretation. Followers project their desires onto his words, a psychological phenomenon known as the illusion of control. They believe they are active participants in their own salvation, when in reality, they are pawns in a meticulously crafted game. The leader thrives on this dynamic, sustaining his power through a web of psychological manipulation. Isolation is another tool in his arsenal. Cut off from outside influences, followers become increasingly dependent on the group for validation. Their social networks shrink, reinforcing the belief that only the leader possesses the truth. This cultivated dependency mirrors the classic behavioral economic concept of sunk cost fallacy. Once invested, individuals resist abandoning their commitment, fearing the loss of not just belief, but identity itself. As the night deepens, the atmosphere thickens with unspoken fears and desires. The leader paces, an orchestrator of tension, holding his audience in thrall. He speaks of a higher purpose, igniting a fervor that swells like a tide. The followers lean in, entranced by the promise of transcendence, oblivious to the shackles binding them. Each word is a thread, weaving them tighter into his narrative. In this clinical dissection of manipulation, we see that the true horror lies not in the overt actions of the leader, but in the psychological labyrinth he constructs. He transforms individuals into instruments of his will, blurring the lines between devotion and delusion. The final act unfolds, a chilling reminder of how easily the human psyche can be ensnared. The lure is terrifying, yet tragically compelling, as the followers remain blissfully unaware of the impending unraveling of their reality. The chilling sound of silence envelops the small town. In its midst, an individual lurks, driven by an insatiable urge. This is not mere madness. It is a calculated manifestation of a deeply rooted psychological disorder. An antisocial profile emerges, exhibiting traits that are disturbingly methodical, yet unsettlingly magnetic. Behavioral economics offers a lens through which we can analyze this complex individual. The mind, a labyrinth of desires and fears, operates on a peculiar cost-benefit analysis. Each decision, each act, is a calculated risk. The individual weighs the potential gains of notoriety against societal sanctions. This internal dialogue, while twisted, is not irrational. It is a reflection of a warped understanding of value and consequence. As we delve deeper into the psyche, we find a stark contrast, a facade of normalcy. The individual navigates daily life with an unsettling ease, engaging socially, blending seamlessly into the fabric of society. Yet beneath this veneer lies an ever-present darkness. The thrill derived from manipulation and control becomes a currency, one that fuels further actions. Here, the stakes escalate. The individual is not merely seeking attention, they are pursuing an adrenaline-fueled high. The chilling allure of the antisocial profile is amplified by the biological evidence that often surfaces alongside criminal behavior. Neurological studies indicate anomalies in brain structures, particularly in areas governing impulse control and empathy. This is not merely a character flaw, it is a biological predisposition, a chemical imbalance that charts a course towards devastation. Yet this knowledge does little to dissuade the individual. Instead, it becomes an excuse, a justification for their relentless pursuit of perilous engagement. The aftermath reveals layers of complexity. Friends and family, often left in disbelief, grapple with the duality of their loved one's existence. As the case conclusion draws near, the implications resonate. Society is left to question, how can one reconcile the charming persona with the chilling actions? The answer lies in understanding that the individual is not driven solely by malice, but by a distorted perception of reward, one intricately woven into the fabric of their being. In the end, the chilling serial offender is a reminder of the fine line that exists between sanity and madness. Behavioral economics sheds light on this darkness, revealing not just a monster, but a tragic figure, ensnared in their own web of desires. The individual is both an agent of chaos and a product of circumstance, a harrowing dichotomy that lingers long after the case reaches its conclusion. In the abyss of cyberspace, an unsettling phenomenon has emerged. The digital predator operates with a chilling precision, preying on the vulnerabilities of unsuspecting individuals. This individual does not hunt in the traditional sense. Instead, they exploit the very infrastructure of modern communication. The anonymity of the internet becomes a cloak, allowing them to weave a web of deceit and manipulation. Behavioral economics provides a lens through which we can analyze this chilling behavior. The digital predator is not merely a deviant. They are a master of persuasion. They understand the human psyche and its frailties, our need for connection, validation, and understanding. Each click, each message is a calculated step in a carefully orchestrated game. The predator knows how to exploit cognitive biases, leading their targets down a path of trust that ultimately serves a more sinister purpose. Imagine a scenario. An individual, isolated by circumstance, finds solace in an online community. The predator infiltrates this space, presenting themselves as a confidant. They craft a narrative that resonates deeply, fostering a sense of belonging. This is where the behavioral economics of trust comes into play. The individual, driven by the innate human desire for connection, becomes ensnared. Through a series of seemingly innocent exchanges, the predator establishes a rapport that feels genuine. Yet beneath this facade lurks a calculated intent. The digital predator employs tactics reminiscent of classical conditioning. They reward trust with attention, reinforcing the individual's attachment. This psychological manipulation creates a dependency, where the target begins to view the predator as a lifeline. Over time, their emotional defenses weaken, making them increasingly susceptible to exploitation. The predator's strategy is not merely predatory, it is clinical, dissecting the human experience and leveraging it for their gain. As the digital landscape evolves, so too does the profile of the predator. They adapt, learning from each encounter, refining their approach with a chilling efficiency. The internet is their playground, a vast expanse where anonymity shields them from the consequences of their actions. The consequences for the individual, however, often manifest in profound emotional turmoil and shattered trust. In this somber reality, the digital predator thrives. Their existence is a paradox, a reflection of our own desires twisted into a weapon of manipulation. The case conclusion is rarely straightforward. Instead, it lingers in the shadows, a reminder of the complexities of human interaction in an increasingly digital world. Here, the predator reigns, a haunting figure lurking just beyond the screen. The shadows linger in the corners of familiarity. The unseen abuser operates within the mundane, cloaked in the ordinary rhythms of life. Each day, they navigate the world with an unsettling blend of charm and menace. This duality becomes their greatest weapon, a facade so convincing that it disarms the most vigilant observers. Behavioral economics offers insight into this troubling phenomenon. The unseen abuser exploits cognitive biases, manipulating perceptions of trust and safety. They are the architects of their own social environments, crafting relationships that appear benign, Their victims often find themselves ensnared in a web woven from familiarity and deceit. It's a classic case of the halo effect, where positive attributes overshadow darker intentions, allowing the abuser to thrive unnoticed. In many cases, the unseen abuser is skilled at creating a narrative that casts them as the misunderstood protagonist. They may present themselves as caretakers, allies, or mentors, all the while harboring intentions that are anything but altruistic. This psychological manipulation often leads to a phenomenon known as learned helplessness. Over time, individuals become conditioned to accept their circumstances, their agency eroded by an insidious sense of inevitability. The patterns of interaction are often subtle. A dismissive comment here, an isolating gesture there. These actions build upon one another, creating a landscape of emotional turmoil that is difficult to navigate. The abuser understands how to exploit the vulnerabilities of those around them, using the principles of scarcity and urgency to tighten their grip. The fear of loss becomes a powerful motivator, keeping individuals tethered to their oppressor. Moreover, the unseen abuser often operates under a guise of normalcy. They are the neighbors, the family friends, the colleagues who blend seamlessly into everyday life. This camouflage is both a shield and a sword. It protects them from suspicion while simultaneously wielding power over their targets. The clinical detachment with which they manipulate their surroundings reveals a chilling understanding of human behavior. When an individual finally breaks free from the unseen abuser's grip, it is rarely a moment of triumph. Instead, it often manifests as a quiet realization of betrayal. The scars left behind are not visible but endure like echoes in a hollow chamber. The psychological aftermath can lead to a complex interplay of trust issues, anxiety, and a pervasive sense of loss. The unseen abuser's influence lingers long after the relationship has ended. Their presence becomes a haunting, a reminder that not all monsters hide in the dark. Some walk among us, cloaked in the guise of familiarity. Understanding their tactics is essential, not only for prevention, but for healing the wounds they leave behind. As we dissect these profiles through the lens of behavioral economics, we gain a clearer view of the intricate dance between predator and prey, a chilling reminder of the unseen forces at play in our lives.